So I'm going to tell you about the most traumatizing sleepover I've ever had. I'm going to light my candle for this one. So I was about 14 at the time, and Brittany invited everyone over to her house for her birthday sleepover, and her parents had given her an allowance to go shopping at the mall the next day with all of us. Keep in mind, their family had just moved into their new house, so everything was like brand new. It was probably around 10 or 11 p.m. when my best friend and another girl randomly locked themselves in the bathroom, and I was having FOMO because I was 14. So I'm like knocking on the door and I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking about? And for whatever reason, they like weren't answering me. So my dumbass thought if I kicked the door really loud, then it would make like a bang sound and get their attention. And then they would open the door and like tell me what they were talking about. I was fully to blame in this story, okay? I was a literal idiot in high school. So I swing my foot up, I kick the door, and I swear to God, I wasn't even like trying to do it hard. I was just trying to do it loud enough to make a noise and get their attention. My foot literally goes right through the door. And it didn't fully come out the other side or anything, but it made a huge hole in the door. Me knowing this was Brittany's house, my very first thought was she's going to sleep. My best friend and the other girl opened the door and their jaws just dropped, and I was like, oh my gosh, Brittany. So Brittany comes out of her room, she sees the hole in the door, and she absolutely loses it on me. I was like, I'm so sorry, it feels terrible, I'll fix it. She's screaming at me, and her parents come upstairs to see what happened, and they were mad. Her dad saw what happened, and then he just marched right back down the stairs. Her mom was like lecturing us. I was apologizing profusely. Her mom like goes downstairs, talks to the dad for a minute, and then comes back upstairs after we heard the front door slam. She says, Daddy went to the gas station for a minute because he needs to take some time to cool down. I was like, I literally thought he was going to come back and like us. So her parents are furious at me. Brittany is screaming at me. She was like, F you, Jessie. These were brand new doors in our brand new house. Now my parents aren't going to give me money for a shopping spree tomorrow. My best friend is literally sobbing. One girl is sitting in the corner, hyperventilating and having a panic attack. Brittany was screaming at me. I remember being like, I have $13 cash. I know it's not a lot, but I'll give it all to you. I'm so sorry. And then I was like, I have this Calm app. Maybe we should all do a meditation to calm down. Picture 7 14-year-old girls listening to a meditation and sobbing themselves to sleep. Yeah, her parents hated me after that. And I'm pretty sure she holds a grudge against me for that to this day.
Here is the story time of the most fucked up thing my mother made me do. I trauma blocked this shit out of my memory because it was like that scarring. When my mom was in town this weekend, we were talking about it, and I was like, wait, I literally need to tell this story immediately. This story starts when my oldest sister was in the psych ward. She kept telling my other sister and I that she was going to the psych ward because she was like, I just literally need a vacation from life. And we were like, okay, but like, that's not really what the psych ward is like. You know what that's not whatever, if a bitch needs a vacation. Also, like, don't think she realized that, like, the psych ward is not glamorous. Like, this was not, like, rehab. This was a state psych ward. My oldest sister's going through it. While my sister's in the psych ward, we get the call, my mom and Sissy and I get the call that her best friend had died. And, like, it's sounding really heavy, but it gets a lot lighter. Like, it is really fucked up. Find out her best friend has passed. We're all, like, so shocked. We're, like, in tears. Everyone's like, but we're like, how the fuck are we gonna tell my oldest sister? My oldest sister in the psych ward had a phone where she would, like, call us all the time, and she kept calling us and being like, let's call her dead friend Mads. Like, why the fuck hasn't Mads called me? Like, where is Mads? And we like, cannot tell her over the phone that her best friend died. Like, that's so fucked up. My mom's like, well, what the fuck do? We have to go down and tell her. And I'm like, what do you mean we? Like, I am not going to the psych ward. The reason I didn't want to go to the psych ward because years prior, I was in the psych ward. And that's a story for a different time, but I was like, Mom, absolutely fucking not. Like, I am not going to the psych ward with you. Like, that's just gonna give me, like, trauma. Like, I'm good. And she's like, Olivia, like, I can't go alone. Like, I don't know how to tell your sister this. Sissy's like, I'm not fucking going. I've done enough psych wards in my day for these like, literally not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it. I've been to the psych ward too many times for them. And I'm like, okay, bitch, relax. It was one time for me. Sissy's immediately like, no, like, I'm not going to tell her. Like, I can't. Like, I'm not. And my mom's like, please. So I'm like, fuck, I have to go to the psych ward with my mother to tell her. And I'm like, fine, Mom, I'll do it. We'll go to the ward together, like, whatever. I will say, at this time, I did not realize how intense this was going to be. That I didn't realize her friend being dead was a big deal, but it just, like, it didn't, I don't know, I was, like, 19 years old. I was just like, fuck, I gotta go to the psych ward with my mom to tell, like, my mom's like, let's bring her Chipotle, like, it'll harshen the blow. I'm like, I don't feel like Chipotle is gonna make her feel any better about this. She's like, yes, it will, Olivia. I'm like, okay, Mom, what the fuck, whatever. So we get to the psych ward, and I'm immediately like, where the fuck are we? Go to the psych ward, they're, like, making us take off our shoes. We have to go through, like, a metal detector. I'm like, Mom, this is, like, pretty fucking intense. She's like, yeah, like, like, I don't remember it being this intense. You were in the psych ward. I'm like, okay. Mind you, everybody, there's like a long line. Everybody there has like stuff for people. And the lady behind us says to my mom, she's like, well, like when you come back in summer, like all these things. And my mom was like, who the fuck lets, because in the psych ward, I feel like you're in there like a week max, basically, right? And my mom was like, who lets people be in the psych ward this long? Like, what insurance company is like covering this, right? And I'm like, god damn, they're like literally doing a strip search to every single person who's going in the ward. We got there, we give the guy the name, and he's like, ma'am, this is the prison. My mom took us to the fucking prison. I'm like, I'm sorry, sir, we're looking for the ward. And my mom's like, oh my god, thank god, like that was absolutely terrifying. I'm like, mom, how the fuck did you take us to the prison? Like, how did we somehow end up at the state fucking prison? Like, we almost went in there. Get to the psych ward, we get in there, we see my sister, and my sister's like immediately like, okay, like I need to get the fuck out of here, like I'm so over it here. And we're like, yeah. And then she's like, so where's Mads? Can you like tell Mads to call me? And my mom starts kicking me under the table. I'm like looking at my mom and I'm like, bitch, like be fucking for real. Like I'm not about to fucking tell her. Like absolutely not. Mind you, like my sister's talking and I'm looking at my mom like this, like tell her, like tell the bitch, tell her. My mom's looking at me like, you have to tell her. So my sister's immediately, what the fuck? Like, where's Mads? Like, why did she get arrested? Like, what the fuck is happening? So I look at my sister and I'm like, I'm gonna tell you something, but you have to act really, really calm. Because, like, the nurses are watching, you know what I mean? Like, it's a supervised visit, but I'm like, you have to act very calm or they're gonna take you away. And my sister's like, okay, Liddy, like, what the fuck? And I'm just like, Mads died. Mind you, I'm 19 years old. I don't know how the fuck to deliver that news. And I'm pissed at my mom. I'm like, Mom, why the fuck couldn't you tell her? Immediately after I say that, I'm like, Mom, what the fuck? Like, you couldn't say anything. And my mom was like, Olivia, I couldn't. Like, my heart is broken. Like, I just can't do it. My sister's like hyperventilating. And she's like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, obviously, like, she just found out her best friend died. So she's losing her fucking mind. My sister's freaking out. She's asking so many questions. I'm like, hey, you need to calm down. Like, the nurses are looking like they're going to come over. Like, you need to calm down. Like, I can't. I'm like, I understand. Like, just let's breathe through this together. Like, it's okay. Nurse comes over. My sister's clearly, like, hyperventilating, like, trying to keep it together. And she's like, what's happening here? Like, is everything okay? And my mom's like, she is just so excited about this Chipotle. Like, Mom, what the fuck? But my mom and sister didn't